There is no wrong way to love and be loved. This is the core principle that I use when I work with couples. When we initially drawn to each other, we are these creative divine beings, right? Like we're in this awe, we're like elevated, we are in love, right? That's how most relationships start, more or less, right? Let's even talk about those relationships that had amazing start and like people were in love with each other and they wanted to be together. And then there is the pathway. There is the pathway that was paved for us to follow, right? Okay, if you're in love, that's what you do next, right? So eventually you move in together or you get married and all the stories and when people get married, right? Or when people end up being happy together, you're reunited, living happily ever after. And when you enter that space with your beloved, right, with your partner, your lover, you start to realize there is something off in that container. It's too rigid, it's not really adapted to include all the diversity of different personalities out there, all the diversity of different souls, all the diversity of different archetypes, all the diversity of relationship dynamics that can be unique to each couple. So you're entering this narrow path with all this expansive energy, and at some point you start to feel trapped, you start to feel limited, you start to feel dissatisfied. And when you use those points of reference that are given to you by society, what relationship should be, this is what the wife does, this is what husband does, these are your responsibilities and duties, this is how you should feel towards each other, this is how you should behave, this is what healthy was, this was not healthy. It's all this template is given to you, but it's just one template basically. We all receive one template because there is no extensive education about relationship. No, there's no school that you have to go through. There is no understanding the differences between a female and male psyche, sexuality, emotionality, right? Physiology. And there is no extensive understanding of psychology of relating in intimate space, combining with family responsibilities, combining with building career, building businesses, taking care of the kids, all of this together, it can be overwhelming and it can be very rigid for people. And I see how people who even love each other struggle inside of this small box and not knowing how else they can relate, so they can grow their love, they can enjoy and absorb each other's energies in a healthy way and thrive together, right? So that is the art of working with couples, because what I love the most to build that bridge between one individual, another individual, feminine, masculine, which can be very interesting combination. Sometimes a woman has a lot of masculine energy and man has more feminine energy, or the opposite way, or they can be more balanced. There are so many variations, and how are you wired? Are you introvert, extrovert? Are you a night owl or morning person? It's there are so many factors and so many qualities about each of us, multifaceted beings, right? That are forced to follow only one template that society offers, because there's, as I said, there's no other templates or education or role models. Some people figure it out, and most of the time it's something okay rather than great. And sometimes people find themselves in the toxic environment, that even loving relationship, that it was like loving relationship at the beginning, they become toxic because the right conditions are not provided for this particular relationship dynamics, right? For this particular couple. So my favorite is to really get to know the couple. I usually start working with the couple. We have the first session, like 2-3 hour intensive together in the space, and we just like have this more and less open container that I guide in more depth to see and pick up the energy of how these two people relate to each other, right? What's the vibe, what's the energetics, what's the feeling of that home, right? Like it's a soil that you like let's say you have different soil for different plants, right? So I can see how sometimes people are planted in the wrong pot with the wrong soil, with the wrong conditions, and they're not allowed to change that, to modify, because they think, oh, that's not how you do relationship, right? That's not how you show up. That's not how you're supposed to feel. So it's very interesting to start and observe these dynamics, and I observe it not just like on intellectual level. It's like, okay, this is what this couple is about, these are their problems. I pick up the vibe, the energetics, the even like some, I feel it in my body, the somatic. That's how it feels to be part of that intimate container, intimate relationship that they share. So of course it's a big privilege and honor to be allowed in that space and to be able to observe and facilitate that process. And immediately I see what is working, what is not working. Usually then we separate. I separate the couple, and I start working with individuals privately. I have private sessions with both of them to understand who they are before they lost themselves in this particular relationship dynamics, right, in this container. And that is like an amazing process of rediscovering themselves, rediscovering their potential, right? And like we kind of back off from merging everything together and what has been created so far, and we start from scratch. We clear the foundation completely, right? Like we let go of all of that, kind of unlearning, unplugging from that field that was created between us. Because usually people start working with a relationship expert, with intimacy expert, when things are going really bad, when they're about to separate, when they were about to break up, or like when they like feel like, okay, we're stuck in these toxic patterns or like unhealthy dynamics that we can't figure out on our own. So that's where this principle comes from, right? There is no wrong way to love or be loved and be loved, because each couple can create their own model of how they want to relate, their own dynamics, their own conditions, what is included, what is excluded. They can let go of all conditioning that, this is how we do it. Like, okay, you're not doing that well, but you're so great with all other things. So like, I have this inner conflict. Like, I love you, but I hate you at the same time. It's like, it doesn't need to be that way. We can focus on what's working and cultivate that, and we can rewire and redirect what's not working to find a different expression, different condition for that particular need and particular desire environment, so that it can start working again, right? Or we can outsource it sometimes. It's not healthy to also isolate yourself in the relationship and have nobody else but your husband or wife to be your own, your only support system for everything, right? So if you're curious to learn more, if you feel, wow, I want to master intimacy. I want to understand myself of who I am in a relationship and who I am outside of a relationship. And how can I combine this autonomy, the independence, and the sense of freedom when you're like single, you can do all these things, yet at some points you crave to be in a relationship, you crave love, you crave touch, you crave intimacy, you crave lovemaking, you crave companionship, all these aspects, beautiful aspects of partnership, right? You start missing that, and then you get into the relationship, it's like you get overwhelmed. Just like, so to avoid these black and white situations, like, you do need support. And if you are interested to explore this opportunity for yourself, or maybe yourself and your partner, I'd be happy to have a private conversation with you about it. It's like, of course, I'm limited with how many people I can take. I have like more than 10,000 people in my community. So for those ones who are not ready to take a private work with me, private coaching, for those ones, obviously I can take everyone as well. There are some online resources that I have for you, but I just want to hear from you. Just maybe respond to this video, respond to this email, and let's have a conversation. Sometimes I organize these mini groups with the people who each other, and they come in a small group container, maybe a few couples together, or maybe a few women together who are kind of more or less on the same page. Usually they're friends, so that works really well as well. And I also do the retreats, private retreats in person here in Sonoma County. It's possible to do in Maui this winter, and potentially in other locations if we agree upon destination. So I would like to hear from you. Where are you at? Just share. There is no obligation to anything. I just want to hear from you and understand where are you at. What are your needs? What are your desires? What support you need in this area? And if you are ready to work with me and you're interested to learn about private work, then you can book a private call. It's a 30-minute call, and we can discuss your situation. There is no pressure here. We just have very open, very relaxed conversation about where are you at and what you need, and if we are a good fit to work together.